And this is a brief weekly recap of my first microcycle of my second mesocycle. So if you guys don't know this, a mesocycle is going to basically be a month. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but typically I write my mesocycles as a 4-week progression, and a week of training is typically called a microcycle. So 4 microcycles make up a mesocycle, and this is one of my mesocycles. In this episode, or I guess in this video, I am showing you guys how I am moving into some more intense training. You guys can see that I am getting more specific because I am increasing the intensity of all of my lifts. And intensity is defined as the range of motion at which you move a weight, or how far it moves, the load on the bar, and also the number of joints involved in that movement. So if you move a heavy load very quickly over a large range of motion, it's typically going to have a very high intensity. As you guys can see, I'm doing squats here. I'm trying to squat deep. My hip anatomy doesn't allow me to do this. And do not comment anything about me having poor mobility. Obviously, I have poor mobility, but it's related to my bone anatomy. I'd love to squat deep, but I cannot. I did hit 305. I was super happy with that in this specific exercise. So it was kind of just above half squat, but for me, it's the deepest I can go. And I'm just maxing out that range of motion for me. So going to 305 on that, I was really, really happy. And then I moved into some hip thrusts. I ended up doing 305 for my top sets, 2 sets of 5. After that session, my knees felt kind of trash. And the reason why is because I pushed so hard on the dunk session the previous week. And I jumped very poorly during that jump session. And so coming into this week, my knees hurt and I was not really feeling great, even though it was a rest and test week. Then I moved into, on Wednesday, heavy box squats or bottoms up squats. In this case, it's bottoms up squats. And I'm actually resting the bar on the pins or the safety bar and then pushing up as hard as possible. I ended up getting I hit a set of 3 and failed on the 3rd rep, and then I went down to 275. Then I hit 315 for a set of 5 on my absolute top set. I think I did 5 to 6 sets for each of this, if you were wondering. And then I actually moved into power cleans. The reason I did the squats first is because my focus of the cycle is not power, even though it is a long sequence conjugate system, meaning I'm doing a lot of things at one time. The focus is max strength, so I wanted to put the squats first so that I could keep that the priority. I tried pushing the knees forward and almost sliding my hips forward, pushing the knees way forward over my toes, and that actually hurt my PFP quite a bit, which makes sense because the pressure of the bone pushing into the connective tissue is quite high. Then I ended up hitting a set of 195 for a set of 3. Super happy with that. That's the heaviest I've gone in, I don't even know, 3 to 4 years, maybe even longer than that. So I was really pleased with that. And then I pushed pretty aggressively on hip thrusts. I actually had a whole bunch of other lifts here that I didn't include. I did hip thrusts. I did some sort of I did calf raises, some sort of posterior chain work on top of the hip thrusts. And the same is true for the Monday session, but I'm just showing you guys the highlights here. Then on Friday, I did partials. The reason why is my knees felt terrible. And I probably pushed too hard. I typically don't do this with athletes, but with myself, I kind of know the rules. I was a little bit scared after pushing so aggressively on Wednesday that Friday I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to squat at all because Thursday I felt so bad. But it ended up being okay, and I did my balance calf raises because I don't have a Smith machine or a safety bar. And typically I just balance on one leg and really just do my best to go up and down. Calves looking freaking yoked, which is one of the prime movers in 1-foot jumping and 2-foot jumping. Massively overrated. During RDLs, I felt this tearing sensation. This is Friday. You guys haven't seen any clips from this yet. But I felt this tearing sensation in my upper back and decided to depress and retract my scapula better, which helped a ton. And then I ended up working up to a double at 145 for snatch. So super happy with that. Anyways, guys, that's the first week of training in this mesocycle. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments section below. Again, the purpose of this is to maximize intensity and drop volume slightly. Next cycle, I will be going more into elastic work, but obviously I have 3 more weeks of this before I deload. So you guys will be getting a lot of information about this. Again, make sure you like, comment, any questions you have. I always try to answer all the questions, especially in my most recent videos. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. See you guys.